The first few hours after the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct launched were very positive. Everyone was saying Nintendo was stealing the spotlight and they were doing such a good job, and there were so many great announcements that they had. But then the tides changed when they announced price tags, when we found out that Mario Kart World was going to be $80 and potentially physical versions were going to be 90. But now they are having their Treehouse stream and it is a disaster for them. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I actually thought the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct was fantastic. We got news about From Software games heading to the Switch. The Duskblood seems really freaking cool. Mario Kart World looked fantastic. Donkey Kong Bonanza was really awesome. And while that was really positive, unfortunately, a few hours after, everything turned to chaos because we found out the price tags and gamers were not happy with what they were hearing, which is completely understandable. There are a lot of people who already did not want to pay $69.99 for a video game, never mind $79.99, or if the rumors are true, $90 for a physical edition of a game. And of course, today they had their Treehouse stream where they're trying to, of course, promote new games. And well, the chat has been a disaster for them, which is honestly pretty hilarious because if Nintendo didn't expect all of this backlash, they are in for a rude awakening. But I'm sure that they did expect there to be a lot of controversy behind this move to a certain extent. And for me, what is even worse is not that it's just necessarily Nintendo doing it, it's that it is going to set a new industry standard because when one company does something, every company does that something. Look at what happened with EA and loot boxes. They decided to put loot boxes in their games, and then every company tried to do it. I don't exactly remember who started kind of the live service trend. It was probably around the time of like BioWare, right? When they were going for something like Anthem. But when one company does something, every company does something, especially when it comes to making more money. They see Nintendo raising their standard Switch 2 prices to $80. Well, they feel they can also raise their standard prices to $80. And word on the street, according to listings in other regions, like in the UK, there are going to be physical editions that are $10 or right around the equivalent more. So that has made a lot of people worry as well, because not only are they seemingly pricing some people out of digital, but they are also going to doubly price people out of physical. Of course, we're headed towards an all digital future, and this is what companies want, to have to not make physical games anymore. But I personally fight back against that as much as possible. I do still buy digital and like when I have to, but I try to go out of my way to buy physical whenever and wherever I can. But taking a look at this article, it talks about how Nintendo's Switch 2 Treehouse livestream is just a flood of angry comments shouting, "Drop the price." I did share over on my X a very quick screen cap. I mean, this was only 22 seconds, and almost every single message in here is drop the prices. Please drop the prices. I'm begging you. Drop them, drop them, drop the prices. It is so good to see people fighting back. But ultimately, I think Nintendo has kind of made their decision that they're not going to backtrack. And it looks like they do not have any set prices across the board because Mario Kart World is going to be 80 digital. That is already confirmed, already set in stone. And Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be $70 set in stone. So it looks like they really are just trying to test the waters, right? And push the limits, see how far they can get customers to kind of spread their money out about for a product. And that just happened to be tested with Mario Kart World. Now, I'm sure that game is going to sell extremely well. You know, Mario Kart 8 sold between the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch over 80 million copies, which a lot of people love that game. I love that game, of course. But I do think that if they push that to every game, yeah, I mean, we are going to see a lot of people say, well, enough is enough. I'm just going to buy one game every 1.5 months or 2 months instead of one, maybe every single month. This article, though, talks about it. Nintendo's first post Switch 2 Nintendo Direct Treehouse livestream is being flooded with angry comments from users calling the company to drop the price. A cursory glance at the YouTube chat for the stream shows a flood of complaints about the pricing of Nintendo's move to the next generation, which includes the $449 Switch 2 and perhaps most controversially, the jump to the $79.99 for Mario Kart World. The 449 wasn't very shocking to me. There I think was a lot of expectations on it being $399, but there were some leaks that had said $499. I always expected it to be between this price tag. I don't necessarily think that that is a god awful price, though if you could just spend a little bit more, you could get something like a PlayStation, which is significantly more powerful. I love the Switch. I think that it is a great console, but you could also buy a Steam Deck for around the same price too. So to me, it is understandable why there are people that are upset about that, though even more so about the $80 video game pricing. And this has been talked about a lot on social media now. Stuttering Craig had posted, this is the chat on the Nintendo Treehouse stream. It's going very well. There's always one that's someone trolling saying, raise the prices. There are lots of gamers saying you can't sell a Switch 2 to parents of kids that already have a Switch, all the games and accessories, and a few broken ones. I do also completely agree with this. I think that they are making it harder for adults to reason with the fact that their kid wants a Nintendo Switch 2 because they're paying more for the console, but they're also paying more for the video games. And I know going back to like the SNES days, right? Things like Earthbound were $80. There were plenty of games that were around this price tag. And, there are people that argue, well, with inflation, video games should cost well over $100. But I personally don't agree with that kind of mentality because while, yes, technically by inflation standards, the games should be over $100, we are seeing a very different video game industry take place. I had posted this over on my X, but for me, it boils down to the gaming industry is making $200 billion a year when something like Hollywood is making $20 billion. They're making record profits and have for decades. So, should we really indulge them to make even more and kind of draw all the money out of us as they can? Two is that in something like 1998, there was an estimated 743 games released, very rough estimate. But in 2024, there was nearly 19,000. Companies always push a new trendy game our way and say buy, 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 leading to more variety. And people don't want to be weighed down by a single game every few months. I definitely think that when there is kind of a fast fashion trend in the video game industry where once a month they're pushing a new game and people want to buy it, you can't have higher prices because you want people to buy as many games as possible. It's not like there's like one or two flagship video games releasing a year anymore. And the overall quality in AAA games has actually fallen in many people's personal opinions. This all isn't always a deterrent. Something like Monster Hunter Wild's PC launch saw record numbers, yet was panned by gamers for being broken, but it can be a factor. So yeah, when there's, more the games than ever releasing in a year, people want to enjoy a wider variety and follow these trends. A decline in quality, and of course, with quality, it's not just technical quality, but also storytelling and an all-time high in profit. It just leads to, in my opinion, a heightened scrutiny and a rejection of price hikes. I just think that it is hard to convince people to spend $80 on a video game once a month or even twice a month if that's really what they expect. But there are a lot of people on my thread talking about this, saying if those complaints aren't backed by action, they're pointless. The industry is counting on the fact that they are just complaints. Complain all you want, that's fine. Just back it up with going non-binary. And yeah, if you feel strongly enough this, I 100% recommend not buying a Switch 2 and not going out of your way to purchase and support these video games. But we do know that Nintendo is a giant company, and there are plenty of, we'll just call them normies out there who don't follow social media discussion and just see something and might go, oh, this is really expensive, but I'm still going to buy it. Lots of people going, oof, I don't think I've ever seen Nintendo get this much backlash. This is Xbox One level. I agree. I mean, Nintendo has faced a lot of controversy over the years and lots of scrutiny, but never to this extent. I mean, there are thousands upon thousands of posts and millions of gamers on social media who are fighting back against this. So it will be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of days and, of course, weeks leading up to the launch. If the Switch 2 pre-orders go terribly and like scalpers get all of the consoles, they are going to face such massive problems. So many people who are going to be so much more upset with them. So I will be keeping my eye on this situation, of course, and definitely talking about it more in the future. But Nintendo's Treehouse stream just happened and it went awfully for them. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.